Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, how are you?
I am great. I am great. This is Monique.
hmm
Um, okay, so I'm trying a different method. This probably gonna have to be edited out this show. Um, but I will get started here briefly. And we will go from there. All right, is everything you clear? You can hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. All right. Give me a few moments and we will get started. All righty. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Simply Monique radio show. I'm your host, Monique, and today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very special guest. We have someone who's traveled the world, seen and exploring different things. Not only has she traveled the world, but she has a little fetish for coffee, if you will. She loves some good coffee. Who doesn't love a good bottle or a good cup of Joe, as some people like to say? It could be Folgers, it could be Maxwell, or any other brand, but we don't know. But nevertheless, we have this unique individual with us who is coming to empower us, equip us, and educate us on the benefits and the pros and even some cons of traveling, right? And guess what? You can make money while doing so. We're going to welcome to the show Miss Kidra Fuller. Welcome to the show, Miss Fuller.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, if you, I gave our audience a little bit, a mini bio about who you are, but let them know
Mhm.
who you are, where you're from, just a little bit about yourself.
But how long? What? Like maybe a minute?
Sure, that's fine. That's fine.
No, I'm a specific girl. I'm a green girl, so I gotta. Okay, I don't want to talk too much because I love to talk. So okay,
Okay.
got it.
Yeah, okay, yes. Just a miniature snippet about who you are, where you're from. That's all. Yes.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So thanks again for having me here today. My name is Kidra, and I currently live in Las Cruces, New Mexico. I was born and raised in Texas. I'm an Army brat, and I've traveled everywhere. I've had my first passport stamp when I was 9 months old, but I'm really happy to be here today.
Awesome, awesome. So I was right. I shoot you. So you used to traveling. You've been going over the world being an army brat. So you've been some different places that our guests and audience members have not been yet. So would you say, Akidra, would you say that because you traveled the world as a child, being an adult now, you get to travel and make money by doing it? Would that play any role for you as far as being able to travel the world now and make money while doing that? Did that influence your decision?
Definitely. So I was, born a military brat, obviously, but my parents divorced when I was a young age. So a lot of that travel stopped. So,
Okay,
as I
okay.
became an adult, then I was like, wait a minute, I now have extra money, I have some time, and I was ready to live my best life and pick up and enjoy my wanderlust.
Awesome, awesome. So tell me about this wanderlust. Like I've seen you with the hashtag wanderlust, everything. So let us know, how did you get into this travel business also, and how did you, as far as sharing the word wanderlust? So what is that concept about wanderlust and vibes and the money, everything that ties into it?
So I'm a Sagittarius, and Sagittarius have wanderlust. If you know anybody who's a Sagittarius, they love to travel, they love to have fun, and that's kind of one of the big things it talks about is that we have wanderlust. We're always looking for new adventures, seeking out fun and different things like that. So that's how my wanderlust came into play. Because again, I'm always looking for fun. I'm always looking for adventure. But with that coming into, my son was in college, and I finally had an opportunity to have extra money and do something. And a lot of us get tired and we want to try different things. And being that I was finally an empty nester, I really wanted to tap into the opportunity to travel more. I was doing a lot of road trips. I was
Mm-hmm.
a road trip warrior,
Yeah.
but I wanted to do something more. And so I was scrolling on social media like we all do, and I
Uh-huh.
seen someone have a post that say, "Hey, how would you like to make money doing the travel you're already doing?" and I tripped over myself. Well, not really, but I tripped over myself
Right.
reaching out to her so I could find out, because to me that just made sense. I was like, I already want to do it so I can make money. Let me
Right.
find out how.
Right, exactly, exactly. So now you're traveling and making money doing it. So I recently read where you shared some travel hacks. So what would you mind sharing with our audience today? Some of those travel hacks for people who traveling by themselves. Just a few tips that you want to share with our audience. Maybe 2 to 3 tips you want to let them know.
Definitely. So solo travel is my biggest thing. I love to travel by myself, and only when I started my travel business do I now have so many people that want to travel with me. But there's a couple of things that I think is really important. And the very first thing is safety first, especially if you're a female.
Mm-hmm.
Safety first. Share
Uh-huh.
your location. Me myself, I share my location. You can do this with your Google Maps or Apple. You can share your location with different family members and friends. But I go a step beyond that. When I go to certain places, like let's just say if I'm driving and I'm on a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
every time I stop, I let them know, hey, I'm stopping here, getting gas, getting back on the road. And then when I get there, as well as sharing my hotel and my room number. I know a lot of people are like, why do you need to know my room number? Well, worst case scenario, something happens to you health wise, and you know that I'm staying at the Embassy Suites. Well, if I call the Embassy Suites and says, hey, Monique was checked in on Friday, I haven't heard from her, can you confirm? They won't do it. But if I say, hey, Monique in room 514 checked in on Saturday and I haven't heard from her, they're more likely to go check on you and, give me that information that I would need. So that
Right.
safety one is share your information where you are, and whatnot. The number two thing is, I'm bad at it, but I'm good at it, is
Okay.
packing lightly.
Yeah, yeah.
Packing lightly.
Uh-huh.
So I always joke about, I went on a vacation on a cruise and I barely had stuff in my suitcase, but I found a Ross right around the corner. I went and got some cover ups, right? So to me, I always carry two items. I have a carry on and a personal item like a backpack or a purse or something. You want to
Right.
carry lighter stuff, especially if you're doing solo travel, because what if you find souvenirs or different things like that you want to bring back and you don't want it too heavy in case you have to check it, and that's extra money, right? So I like to coordinate. I'm a coordination girl. So if I'm wearing black, everything that I have is going to match with black. Or if I'm wearing blue, I'm going to have accessories and stuff. So I have a main color or a color theme to go with it.
Right.
And this way I have more space in my suitcase.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Definitely. It makes sense. It makes sense for sure. For
Right.
sure.
And
Yes.
the last one though is, for me, especially when you're traveling internationally, is your documentation, your passport. During 2020, I had a friend whose husband and her traveled all the way to the Dominican Republic, and he lost his passport
Oh my
because he
goodness.
didn't have copies of the passport. They hadn't emailed the copies to anybody. They actually got quote unquote deported back to the United States. Now they had flight and everything paid for. They had their hotel and everything. They end up getting deported back, not to their original destination, but back to Atlanta. So then they had to fend for themselves from Atlanta back to their home state, which was Texas. So imagine being put in that spot. So here's what I do. I always send copies of everything, my flight itinerary, my hotel, and I also scan a copy of my passport. And you can either put it in your Google Docs or email it to yourself. Most of us have multiple email addresses, or
Mm-hmm.
email it to a family member or friend. Because guess what? If you lose it and you don't have a copy, you're going to have to pay so much more to get a brand new one. But you're more than likely going to be able to get home if you can prove that you actually have a valid passport, and they'll work on getting you home faster versus if you can't prove that you have one.
Wow, that is great information and very vital, very, very vital. Because since they changed the laws and the rules about having a real ID, I've witnessed people if they don't have their real ID, they're going through the airport. It's a whole different process that they have to go through just to get through the airport, even board the plane. They can come to the airport when it comes to security, but at that point there, it's like, okay, you don't have these items here, and so they go through a strenuous process, and even can be a bit stressful because they don't have certain documents that's required to travel. And I believe there's been ample enough time for people to get a real ID. I am grateful for those who are military that they actually the airport, still allows military members to have that use their ID. because like your driver's license doesn't expire for X amount of years. So for those who are active duty, they move around a lot, and so they
Hmm.
may live someplace for 2 years, 3 years, maybe they may deploy to, if they live somewhere 3 years, they may deploy 2 or 3 times out of that time there, or even be, you know have a temporary duty or something like that elsewhere. So the time may not be allotted to them so they can get their real ID. However, I have noticed that certain airlines, they are showing favor to our armed forces, which is appreciative. And I think some people, show care and certain things to the fire department, but that's not the same thing. But nevertheless, those are some great tips that you shared and very important, especially with human trafficking and sex trafficking that's actually happening so high all over the world right now. It's important to have that identification. I see stuff where children are missing, women are missing, men are missing, young boys are missing as well. And so it is kind of sad there, and people not sure what they had on, what they were wearing. And I can recall it's about 7, 8 years ago, one of my nieces, we thought she was missing. And like everyone came together. It was something else. It was like, where were you? But she said she spoke with someone. However, the person she said she spoke to was like, hey, we spoke or whatnot, but as far as the location, it was just so much stuff that was going on involved. And it was like, okay, like
Wow.
we need to get home. But, thankfully, she was safe and what everything.
Wow.
It was just, it's like, man, we're
Okay.
going to beat your tail. Like literally, we beat her butt. You know what I'm saying? Like she was like, y'all, I'm sorry. It's like, you can't be doing that to people. You know what I'm saying? Because we didn't know what happened, and so that scare, that fear that something detrimental could have happened to our family member is no joke. So what you shared was very important. So if you could I guess some benefits of being in the travel businesses. I think it's $1 trillion industry with travel. I know a lot of things going on with the airlines and people not wanting to travel. However, share with our audience and our listening audience, what are some benefits of being in the travel business, the perks of it.
Well, listen, travel is a $9 trillion industry a year. 9 trillion. Okay. To me, the biggest thing for me is travel makes sense no matter what industry you're in, from healthcare to um, if you're an entrepreneur. No
Mm-hmm.
matter what you do, you need to
Mm-hmm.
travel. Point blank and period.
Right.
Even during 2020, here's the thing: a lot of people got scared and they were like, "Oh, travel is gone." They were leaving their business. I never did, because I knew there were people like me that were waiting, that had a suitcase by the door. And as soon as a country was open, I was at CVS getting my test. What do I need to do? I'm out, right?
Right.
But
Understand.
furthermore, those are people that have wanderlust. Let's talk. We're talking about vacations. People think about vacations, but let's
Mm-hmm.
talk about people who have to travel for healthcare, for family members, and that have to travel for work. They have no choice but to travel. Travel will never stop, it will never cease. So, to me, it just makes sense to be a part of an industry that will continue to grow. Everybody is traveling. Think about it like this: baby boomers are retiring what? Like at least one every 60 seconds. They're fueling the industry. They've worked their entire life and now they're ready to live their best life, right? We have millennials who are spending well over $1 trillion a year in travel. Gen
Wow.
X, baby, let's talk about Gen X, right? Gen
Mm-hmm.
X, we are spending well over $1.5 trillion dollars a year in travel. And I can attest to this, man. We want quality over quantity. Give me a 4-day weekend in Jamaica versus a 5-day trip at a resort. I'm good. So I don't care about the time I'm gone. As long as while I'm gone, I feel like I'm living my best life. But let's talk about Gen Z. Okay. That's the digital generation, the jet setters. They're the younger ones. They're doing the TikTok videos, the reels. They're the ones that are 18 and 20 and they're retired, right? What
Mm-hmm.
are they doing? They are leisure travels. Do you know they are spending more money on travel than any other generation? And why is that? They've tapped into it. If they go on a trip for business, they go a day or two early or a day or two later and they have some fun. So they're mixing business with pleasure. But here's the thing: even though all of that is going on, travel is the number one research category online. And let's just be honest. I want people to be real and think about it. If you're guilty, if you work a 9 to 5 and somewhere between 9 a.m. and 5 p.m., you look up if those flight prices have went down, you're looking up that resort that you want to go to, you want to see some activities, or maybe you just need motivation. So you put on, beach motivation to get a screensaver. Travel is the number one research category online, period. So no matter whether you're looking to do it for travel, for leisure, you're having to do it for family or for healthcare or even for business, travel is going nowhere anytime soon. If anything, it's only going to increase. There's always going to be, and there has always been, some type of issue, whether it's with hotels, whether it's with airlines, there's always going to be something there. But keep in mind, they always find a resolution because guess what? If we're not on those planes, guess who's not making money, right? That means we're going to find another mode of transportation, how to get from A to B, right? So
Right.
definitely
Yes.
we're always going to be
Yes.
looking out. And then safety is priority because when we're not safe, 2020 being the great example, right? Then
Mm-hmm.
we had to stop and do things different. I um I had the
Yes.
pleasure of going to a resort in the Dominican Republic. They closed, obviously they had to close down, but then
Mm-hmm.
they had to rebrand and retrain their staff. And this is amazing. I met one of the she was like my concierge. She took me around and she was like, they had to wear masks, obviously. And she
Right.
was just like, we have to do this training now. And it's so hard for me. And I said, why? She's like, well, because they told us to smile. Like, back before 2020. And she's like, I don't feel that you can see my smile. So instead of smiling, the way they normally would, they kind of put their hands over their heart. Kind of, so instead of saying
To
thank you and
adjust.
smiling, they would
Mm-hmm.
say thank you and hand over their heart. So it trained us to have a different way and perspective of showing our gratitude, of being able to make sure that not only are we as consumers happy, but then also, um, as a traveler, if I'm going somewhere, that I'm able to let, the front desk staff, my bellhop, my concierge know how much I appreciate them without them being able to see my smile either. So it's a time where again, travel may have slowed down, but we all knew it was coming back, and it came back with a boom.
I see. I see. So, how can our audience, if someone wants to understand, if someone wanted to get into the travel industry, if they wanted to, get coached or trained by you, how can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Awesome. So I am on almost all platforms. I'm on Facebook, Kidra, Kidra Fuller. I am on IG under Kidra, Kidra underscore the traveling coffee queen, but coffee's with a K. And
Yes.
then I'm on TikTok at Kidra Fuller. But here's the easy thing. If you want some information, not only to contact with me, all you have to do is go to travelworkshop.com, all one word, and then enter in my sponsor ID, which is my first name, Kidra, Kidral 97. Here's what you're going to get. You're going to get a free access to my free workshop. There's videos, there's Q&As, and then on top of that, for just getting in the information, you guys, I'm going to give you a special gift. I'm going to give you a vacation voucher. So basically, it's different destinations that you can choose from, and all you have to do is pay taxes. Unfortunately, Uncle Sam is always going to take his money, but I've had people take trips to Cancun and pay like $20. So it's a really great opportunity for you if you want to join travel to start traveling as an insider and start getting some content for when you start your business.
That is awesome. That was if they got a trip to go to Cancun for $20. That is amazing because the flight, yes, flights in itself just to leave to go anywhere lately. If you don't get it early, it's gonna cost you a couple $100, and
No, I'm
depending, it
giving
could be a
them
couple of
hotel. Hold
thousand.
on. Ooh, I'm giving
Hmm.
them hotel. Hold on. That's not flight. That's hotel. You have to
Right.
get there.
That's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, just they had to get there, but it's just like, man, just that this still was a great
No,
price.
I know, I know.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It's my way of saying thank you because, again, a lot of the people want and think there's so many big obstacles to joining the industry,
Hmm.
and there's not. And sometimes you have to bet on you.
Yes. Yep. Yep. Sometimes you do. Sometimes you do. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have had a great conversation here and learning about tips in travel, being safe, as well as the benefits, right, of travel, which is so important. The benefits kind of get to relax your mind, kind of that decompress from the day stressors. Even at home, sometimes you can make your home a peaceful atmosphere. You can set things in motion for you to have a nice, quiet, calm evening with your family, whether you're reading a book or watching your favorite movie, just some things to kind of decompress. You can take a vacation, or quote unquote, a home away from home. So get into the travel industry. It's a $9 trillion business, ladies and gentlemen. So it's an opportunity for you to earn income and see the world. America is wonderful, true indeed. However, there's so much more that you can see and do outside of the 50 states, right? So I want to encourage you guys to get in touch with Kidra, get in touch with her so that you can book your vacation, book your anniversary getaway, whatever it is, book a staycation, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Get some time to yourself, but also make some money while you're doing it. Why not? The things can be tight. Become an entrepreneur and join this $1 trillion industry along with Kidra and several others. Until next time, ladies and gentlemen, we thank Kidra for being a guest on the Simply Monique radio show. Until next time, you all stay up, be blessed, and peace.